This is the Soul Expansion Soundboard, an hour of honest conversations and straightforward advice on spiritual growth, limitless creation, and enlightened evolution, with two certified spiritual coaches and soulpreneurs who understand what it's like to navigate spiritual growth in an ever-changing world. You'll be part of illuminating discussions featuring spirituality, self-development, inner healing, manifesting, and expansive creation of the abundant life you truly deserve. Now, here are your hosts, Roz Kincaid and Julian Crosson-Hill.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. I'm your host, Roz Kincaid. I'm a certified spiritual life coach, empowerment coach, transformation coach. I'm kind of playing around with these names, so y'all just kind of work with me on this. Of course, I have my friend and co-host with me, Julian Crosson-Hill. Hey, Julian.
Hello, I'm a certified spiritual life coach and human design specialist as well. I'm not playing with the names. I'm just a certified spiritual life coach. So.
That's it. I don't know. I have to play with these names a little bit to like kind of identify like, who am I today? Who do I feel good about being today? And listen, I'm still snatching edges. That doesn't change. Okay. So it's still sassy and zesty over here. So welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. You guys, we are going to be continuing the topic around limitations, not lamentations, limitations. Although having limitations will probably cause you to lament, but we're not talking about, oh, woe is me, because we're not victims, right? We're not victims. So we're going to get into how to overcome limitations and kind of talk through some strategies and some things that you might be overlooking that can get you out of the box and get you moving forward into more limitlessness and freedom and liberation, because damn, that's what we all want, right? At least that's what we want. What do you think, Julian?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all about getting out of those limitations and into the idea of possibility, right? It's about, you can't really break through limitations if you can't imagine a life without that limitation. And so I think that's kind of often the first step, is just realizing that it is possible and being able to actually envision a life without that limitation, because you can't even start to break it down if you don't think it's possible to break through it.
Listen, I got a little list here of things that I wanted to get into, and you are right on it, because I have on my list lack of faith and beliefs. Because just like you said, if you can't even fathom or even start to imagine or start to even believe that something is possible for you, then yeah, you're going to be chained and you're going to feel limited and have these stories that come up that you can't, or somebody else is doing it too, or all these stories that we tell ourselves that pull us into a place of where there's little faith, little hope. There's no hope. It's hopelessness.
Yeah, absolutely. Belief is a big part of it. And when we talked about scarcity, we talked about the third myth of scarcity being that's the way it is. And I think sometimes we, even outside of our money, outside of thinking about abundance or manifesting what we desire, we look at our situation and we think, well, it's just the circumstances, it's just the way it is, and I have to learn to live with it. And as a thought experiment, what might it look like if you didn't live with it? What might it look like if you could imagine a way of being that wasn't so limited and were able to step into that?
Yeah, I think that somewhere along the lines of us becoming adults or moving into adulthood, we have lost the art and the beauty of imagination. We have stopped dreaming. We have stopped imagining what another life or another situation could be like, could look like. And here recently, I've been reading Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural, and I've just gotten into like the first couple of chapters of it. And he talks about how your body doesn't know the difference between the past, present, and the future, but your mind is the thing that keeps you stuck in the past, because you rehearse these old stories and you continue to turn over in your mind these past experiences, right? And so
Yeah.
not having the imagination to see something different, or and I don't even know if it's only just having the imagination, but having the willingness to be able to see or visualize or be in another energetic state than the one that you've been in before, or the one that you're in, because that all matters. What you tend to believe or tend to imagine or visualize or even dream about in your in your sleeping state, all of that stuff plays into what you are creating for your next moment or for your future, or even what you pull into your present. Because like y'all already know, we're big on energy. We talk about energy a lot, and energy doesn't die. It's not destroyed. It just transformed. And if you don't allow the energy of past experiences to stay where that is, or to transform that into something of a higher vibration, of a higher frequency, then yes, you are going to continue to re-experience trauma, re-experience hurt, pain, wounding, bad situations, limiting beliefs, and all of that stuff that kind of just it keeps you in. And for those people who and I know this might not be the correct interpretation of it, but I see the devil card in tarot, where you got the two lovers that are chained chained to this addictive energy, this addictive being, but the chains are loose and you can kind of slip out of that at any time. But it's your mind. Your eyes are covered. Your eyes
Yeah.
are covered in that card, and it's like you can't see anything except what's right here.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to allow yourself to be willing to see past today, past yesterday.
Yeah, I always think so when you were talking about that, it makes me think of the Two of Swords, which is of course the woman holding the
Yes.
two swords with the blindfold, and
Mm-hmm.
she can't see the truth because she's got this blindfold on, but all she has to do is set down one of the swords, take it off. And and that's sometimes what we do with our thinking. We get in a pattern of thought that blinds us to the truth, and we don't lean into really what is truth for me today, and then trusting that. You mentioned Joe Dispenza's book and this idea of time and living in the past, and the ways that we allow the past to limit us. And we've talked about energy a lot, and we've talked about quantum physics, and in particular the effect of the observer. That the observer impacts the outcome of what's being observed. And in my work in the Akashic Records, we talk about what we call static view and dynamic view. Because static view is what we have. We see things one moment at a time. So we experience this moment as the present, everything else is future, everything else is past. And the dynamic view in the Akashic Records, everything is this moment. Everything is existing right now in the moment. And so it's a big shift to think about things in a linear fashion, to thinking about everything as just being right now and present. And there's an interesting experiment in physics, kind of a mind experiment, that you can kind of think about when you're thinking about the way we move through time and being present in the moment. And that is, if a person gets on a train and a person is on the platform waving goodbye to them, and the train starts to pull out, to the observer, so the person in the train, the person on the platform is moving, and the person on the platform, the person on the train is moving. And so the observer makes a big difference in the perspective. And so when we think about this static and dynamic view of time, it's based on where you're at, who is moving. Are you moving through time, or are you actually in the present moment and time is moving? So it's an interesting idea to think about. But I think what really the takeaway here is that the present moment is where we have power to make changes. When we get caught up in the past and we replay past events, we let them limit us. And when we worry too much about the future, we let that limit us. But if we stay present in the now, then that's where we have the power to actually break through our limitations, is right now in this moment. And it's all about, how do we connect to this moment and be present in this moment? And of course, I'm also a certified yoga instructor, and so breath is one of the things in yoga that we do to connect us to the moment. Because when you're breathing, you're not breathing in the past. You can't breathe for the future. You've got to do it right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it
Right.
anchors you. It anchors you right here. Like, you can't be like, I'm going to breathe for tomorrow and then not worry about it tomorrow. So
How does that even work? How does that even work?
right,
Let me come back.
right. Right,
Like,
exactly. So this moment is really important, and we have a big problem with presence in our current society. There are so many things that pull us out of presence. We mindlessly doom scroll. We are doing 3, 4, 5 things at once. We're so overscheduled and overburdened with our time that we're multitasking, and we're not really present. And it's why we experience some of the limitations that we experience. We're not present in how we manage our money. So we do things mindlessly and mindlessly impulse buy and create financial burdens for us. We eat too much because we're not mindful about our food and what we're eating and when we're full and those kinds of things. So we put on weight. There's all these things that, if you really look deeper into it, mindfulness and being present in the moment helps break through those limitations.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great points. Great points. And what kind of sparked up for me when you were talking about being present is that we have gotten away with being present in the body. Um, being present about what's going on with the body, what are we feeling. And I think that, and I've heard people say this a lot, is that if I allow myself to feel the fullness of my emotions around a situation, then I might never come back from that. And that oftentimes baffles me a little bit. And I get the fear. I get the fear behind that, because the emotion is so big and it's so um so expansive, and it's overwhelming. And if you were to allow yourself to feel into all the things that are being held in your body, yeah, it can feel like it's overtaking you. But I'm telling you, if you kind of slow walk that and allow yourself to get in, like, you feel an emotion, but then you tap into, where am I feeling this in my body, and identify that, and then start to get curious about it, asking questions. Why am I feeling this? What is this telling me? What do I need to do? Get the wisdom from that. Just getting present in your body can oftentimes save you from illness and disease. Um, not ignoring aches and pains. Like, a backache isn't just a backache. Like, there might be something going on with your sense of security. Like, infertility just isn't infertility. There's something going on with your ability to create. There's something blocking that. And I feel like, we in this microwave society where we want everything fast and quick and in a hurry, and we don't take the time to really settle into our body and feel into what's going on and what's hurting and really what's painful. And we don't take the time to do that. And then by the time we do, like, we got cancer, we have the flu, now we got COVID, we have some kind of autoimmune deficiency or autoimmune situation going on. It's like, and I'm not saying this to blame people, but I really want to drive home the point that we have to get in tune with our body, whether that be through breath, meditation, yoga, tai chi, whatever the case may be, or just sitting silently, or in quiet, just feeling into the body, getting used to the sensations of the body. Like, your body is tingling there for a reason. And I don't know. I don't know. I've been on this kick about being in the body, and this is coming from somebody who does sometimes eat mindlessly, who sometimes I don't pay attention to stuff. And yes, I have gained weight. My daughter's 5, and I still got mama weight on me. But whatever. We ain't talking about me. We talking about y'all. But pay attention to your body. Like, like pay attention to your body. Like, what's that rash on your body? What is that coming from? Why are you turning red in the neck? What's the nervousness about? What's the anxiety about? Why is that in the pit of your stomach? Like, I could go on and on about this, but y'all, we have to pay attention to our body. It's the only
Yeah,
one we
I
have.
think spirituality in Western spirituality and to an extent in like Eastern, like Buddhism and things, there's been sort of a trend towards denying the physical experience, right? Everything's about doing stuff for promise of something later, right? After you leave this body. And so I think that because of that, people tend to be very disconnected from their body because they almost see it as like disposable, right? Well, when I'm done, I'm going to throw it away and move on to something else. But it's really a beautiful divine gift that we've been given in this incarnation. And this incarnation is about our soul learning through life experience. And so we need to embrace the physical, and I see this a lot, even in more new age circles, everybody talking about 3D reality, and we're going to move on to 5D and get rid of all this 3D stuff that isn't working. And it's like, stop denying the physical experience, be in the moment with it, because it's an important part of what we're here to do and what we're here to learn. And denying it is just really fighting against everything, right? So physical reality, yes, we can affect it, but we're not here to deny it. We're not here to rise above it or move through it. We're here to learn from experiencing it. And I think that's a really important thing. The other thing that you kind of said, and you kind of passed over it real quick, but I want to dig into it because I think this is totally relative to overcoming your limitations. Our society is obsessed with quick fixes. Everybody's waiting for the weight loss pill that they can just take and have the pounds drop off without any effort. Everyone wants the cure to cancer. Everyone wants the exercise pill that's going to make them buff without having to go to the gym. We're obsessed with quick fixes. Nobody wants to put in the work to do these things. Everyone wants a quick fix. Look at how popular psychics are. They're popular not because people necessarily believe in psychics, but because they want someone to tell them the solution. They don't want to go find the solution for themselves. They want to go to a tarot reader, go to a psychic, and have the psychic say, here's how you fix your life. And they do this with coaches too. Sometimes I get on intro calls with people who want to be coached, and what they really want is for me to tell them what to do and then hold them accountable for doing it. And I'm like, that's not really what coaching is about. I'm not here to be a quick fix. I'm here to show you how to fix the shit yourself. So, yeah, we've got to let go of this idea that of a quick fix, and especially doing nothing in the meantime. So I know, like the boomer generation, they were always told science was going to solve everything. They didn't have to eat healthy because there was going to be a pill that they could take that would get them all their fruits and vegetables. And like, my mother-in-law, when she was alive, she did not want to manage her health. She had diabetes. She didn't want to eat correctly because she was waiting for that magic pill. She was waiting for the quick fix. And so not only are we obsessed with a quick fix, but we're not doing anything in the meantime. We're just sitting there wallowing in whatever our limitation is while we wait for the quick fix to come along and save us.
Okay, y'all. I got so much to say. First of all, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. Like, that's why you are here. You are here to save yourself. Like, if you're waiting for me or Julian or some psychic or some medium or, a coach or anybody on Instagram to come and fix you, Iyanla is not going to come fix you. When Iyanla comes to you, she is helping you do your work. And she says that on her show. You have to do your work. Like, even when there seems to be like nothing to do, there is something that you can shift in your mind. You can write a journal entry. There's work for you to do. And we cannot wait for a quick fix ain't coming. It's just not it. And let me tell you this, and even when you come work with me and sit down with me for a reading, a lot of times I'm going to tell you what you already know. Now, I know that might seem, well, why do I need to come? You don't. That's the truth of it. You don't. You really don't need a psychic. You really don't need somebody to tell you what it is, because 9 times out of 10, a psychic or a medium is going to tell you what you've already detected in your energy and in your body, and what you've seen synchronistically outside in your life.
Yeah.
And when we sit down, it's going to be, it's not going to be what you expect. And I could get off on a tangent on this, but here's the other thing. Like we you see this in celebrities, like shade, but shade. Like we all can't, get a Brazilian butt lift and get breast implants and decide to take them out tomorrow because we want to look differently. Like we, not all of us have that privilege, and that's dangerous. Number one. And y'all know who I'm talking about too, because I ain't really a fan, but I read the news, and it's like, so today you want to, you want a quick fix. Like I want to be voluptuous and have curves and whatever, but tomorrow I want to take this shit out. Like, what is that? Like, why what about being healthy? Like, girl, stop. Anyway, woo, child. But yes, like this ain't popcorn life. You can't take your life, put it in a bag, and go shove it in a microwave and it be what you want. Like there's a process to this shit. There's levels to this. And you're gonna have to work through it. You're gonna have to sit down and take a look in the mirror and deal with yourself.
Yeah.
You have to deal with yourself. That's why you're here. Like some people have a rest or a break, get a break this lifetime, and a lot of us, we got to work some shit out. I think the church people call it working out your soul salvation. You gotta work that out. You gotta walk that out and get off of you the things that are weighing you down. But listen, as coaches, we are here to support you through that, shine light on what you might not be seeing. But I can't do your work for you. We can't do your work for you. I got my own work to do. Trust me, and there's a lot of it. But I can help you. We can help and support you as you start to uncover the places and the spaces that need healing and transformation. I just made a shameless plug for us both. But know when you come and work with us, you're gonna have to do your work.
Yeah.
Your work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Psychics can be very useful because sometimes, they're going to tell you what you know already, but a good psychic, I'm going to just put a qualifier there. A good psychic is going to help you dig in and find the insight that you're missing. Because, I'm a tarot reader. I hate to read tarot for myself because I'm too close to the situation. So I'm like looking in the cards to like confirm what I want. And probably what I already know is a bad idea, right? So a lot of times people go to psychics because they want the psychic to confirm that, yes, they are having a terrible time and they're limited, or yes, this bad decision I want to make is the right thing to do. And a good psychic is going to help you really dig into that and pull out those insights that you already have, where you already know, I shouldn't do this. I probably shouldn't mess around with that married person or whatever it is that you're doing that, some people sometimes come to psychics to get a rubber stamp on. But a good psychic is going to help you really dig into that. And a good life coach is going to do the same thing. It's about, you have the answers. You just don't always realize that you have them because you're so close to the situation that you've already prejudged it. So one of the things that, I was working with a woman and we were talking, and she was talking about her situation and having to possibly move. And she's trying to start a healing practice and she's got some clients, but she's going to have to move. And she was trying to decide what to do. And she had framed it as A or B, like do this while I'm here and then move and do this. And it was like, or stay here and do this. And she had it framed as like an A or B thing. And I was like, well, what does C look like? What's between those two? Because sometimes we get so wrapped up in opposites, right? Because we think that we live in a world of absolutes, even though we don't. And we get in this either or thinking. I can have this or this, and there's no way to compromise and find a middle path where I can have a little bit of both. And we get so wrapped up in that either or thinking that sometimes the biggest shift to breaking out of our limitation is looking for something in between or a third option.
Yeah. Like that black and white thinking, that's even saying that feels very limiting. And that, like, there are a million possibilities that exist in the quantum field. There are a million possibilities that exist even in an algorithm, in a robot. Take that for example. And so just dwindling down your choices to one or two, you're limiting yourself. What about all the other options? What about, the 5 ways that you can do anything? Like, there's always an option, and you got to allow yourself to see what all your possible, even if they're not good options. I know for me in my coaching practice, I try to sit down with my clients and list out for them, okay, what are the things that you can do? Even if they're not the right things, quote unquote, the right things, you could do A, B, and C. But I think that you have to give all the options their give them the light of day and see what all the options are, because it's not just this or that, it's this and that and then some. Like,
Right.
consider everything so that you can
Yeah.
make an informed decision, informed choices. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes we take a limitation like money, for instance, and we eliminate a whole bunch of possibilities because we just assume that this limitation prevents them from being possible. And so as a coach, when I work with my clients, sometimes I say, okay, so if money was no object, if you didn't have to work, if you had all the money you needed, what would you do? And that brings to daylight a whole nother list of possibilities. And then it's like, okay, so which of these might actually be possible even with the money limitation in place? Because sometimes we don't really think about them that way. We just out of hand eliminate them as possibilities because we have this limitation that to us is so big that it eliminates the possibility or the option completely. And when we do a thought experiment and kind of say, okay, let's remove that limitation. Now, what would you like to do? Suddenly there's this whole bigger list of possibilities. And then it's like, okay, so which of these could we do or partly do with that limitation in place? And that's how we
Mhm.
start to shift through that limitation in a different way.
I think also intuition plays into this. Now, let me say this. Everybody is psychic. Everybody has intuitive abilities. Some
Yes.
of us are developed. Like, being intuitive and psychic ain't just for the chosen. Like, it is just not. Like, you have the ability to sense shifts and energy and understand signs and synchronicities just like I do. And
Yeah.
so I think that when what happens is, I don't know if it's so much like social conditioning or familial conditioning, where we just tend to bypass what doesn't feel right. And, like, we have to get out of the habit of doing that and get more practiced with taking a risk. For some people, it can be taking a risk to follow that niggling or that inkling, or that something ain't right, or this feels right and I don't know why. And pursuing that and looking further into that, because we all have a compass, our own GPS that will steer us in directions that we may not typically choose if we were not to follow those signs and symbols and little nudges and things like that. So I strongly believe that not cultivating your intuition and following it is also another thing that limits us, or not even believing that you are psychic, or you have psychic ability, or you have intuitive ability, whatever you want to call it. Psychic, intuitive, it's all the same to me. But we all have it, and and it will serve you well if you follow it. And I've seen examples of people not following it and putting themselves around people who aren't safe for them, out of well, I feel like I still need to maintain this relationship because they're family, or I've known them since childhood, or they're my boss, or we've been friends for such a long time. But something ain't right. People are showing your hand to them every time you connect with them. It's a criticism, it's a judgment, it's something negative. But and even that is telling you might need to create some space from this person or from this situation. Like, that's intuition. Like, this ain't like super duper, like, it's really scientific. Like, it ain't really that deep, y'all. It's really not. Again, it just takes time to cultivate it and to develop it and understand how to use it. Like, you got to date your intuition. Like, see how it works for you. Like, you may be able to see things, you might be able to dream things, and a lot of us sense things in our skin, in our body, and yet we ignore it. And then we sit up and wonder why we sitting around broke, busted, and disgusted. Well, did you follow the signs? Did you listen to the thing on the inside of you that says, Molly, you in danger, girl? And you still went ahead and did it? Like, and I'm not blaming anybody, but we got to get a handle on this. Like, these are the times that we live in where you can't. It's almost like you can't trust nobody. Like, we are in a political times right now here in the United States where gubernatorial races are going on. We're going to be voting for a new president here in the upcoming year or so, or whatever it is, however long we got left with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But even now, with selecting Senate races and governor's races, like, you can't tell who's telling the truth by looking at what's on TV. Like, you don't know who's keeping it real and who's really for the people and who's really for representing or furthering the agenda of hate and separation and division. So you got to start to go within, either in I'm gonna throw this word out here because I know some people don't connect to it, in your prayer time or in your meditation time or in your contemplative time, and figure out who is representing me best, who represents my values the most, and make a choice. Like, honestly, I don't think none of the choices are really that great, but if you got to make a choice, like, do it with intuition, and do it with some kind of guidance that's bigger than you. Like, you have that. We all have access to that, and to disregard that, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah. I think with the intuition and being psychic, it's about trust. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't teach people as we're growing up how to trust themselves and trust their intuition, right? We tell kids, to ignore their imaginary friends. We tell them that's silly. We tell them we actually actively discourage kids from tapping into that intuition. And we have to spend time learning to trust ourselves. And I think that people have a huge problem with this. I think that's why they want psychics to validate what they believe. They allow social conditioning to kind of make sure that they fit in with the group and that they're acceptable. People don't trust their own truth. And I think it's really important that we spend time getting back to understanding what is truth for me, and how do I trust in my truth, and how do I trust in myself and my abilities and my ideas and my thoughts and my beliefs, because that's really, really critical. You mentioned division and the politics, and that's a limitation that can feel really heavy sometimes. Being gay, hearing some of the rhetoric that's being battered around, and thinking about if the Republicans take the Congress back, and what that could mean for people like myself and my community, that could feel really limiting. And so one thing I want to just say, you are powerful and you can change the world. I know a while ago I made a reel from one of these shows where we talked about energy, and we talked about the energy of money, and someone came on my Instagram and told me I was wrong, and that was a comfortable lie, and that the way the world works is actually XYZ. And I'm just going to put it out here for you. What is the comfortable lie? That late stage capitalism is all there is, and that it's just, you just have to accept it and live with it? Or that you can choose something different, and that by making that choice, you inspire other people to choose differently, and through that, you can change the world. Because that's the comfortable lie, is that the way things are that's broken is how it has to be, and that you're powerless to change it.
Yeah, that's not true. You are not powerless to create change. You're a creator. Like that's who you are. You are always creating. You are always manifesting. And I don't know. I agree. I don't have really a lot to say or add to that, but you're right. And for those of you who um let me do this. For those of you who are listening to this in the month of November in the United States, and you're trying to figure out if you are going to vote or not, do. I'm
Yeah.
do vote, because it matters. It does matter. It's not about really wins or losses, but if your vote is your vote on anything, I don't care if you voting on who gonna win America's what's the show, the Voice, or whatever the case is, or any kind of singing show. You have to let your voice be heard, and if a vote is the way to do that, then let it be known. Like let it be known. And all these conspiracy theorists about don't take the census and this and that. Well, how else are you going to get support if you don't speak up, rise up, and be counted? Be counted.
Yeah.
Like this is making change. In conjunction with your intuition and your knowing and the feelings that you get and the information that you're receiving, you have everything you need to make an informed decision that's right for you. That's right
Yeah.
for you. That will best represent you in a way that you can benefit from some programs and laws that are going to be changed. So go out and vote. That's all I'm saying. Go out and
Yeah.
vote. I don't care what country you in, but if voting is a thing where you live, like let's normalize voting. Let's
Yeah.
normalize, like make democracy real again.
Yeah. Yeah.
About
Because
making America
we're all
great.
we're all creators, and we co-create, and voting is part of your co-creation. You're co-creating with the rest of the collective, and we
Hmm.
need to do that. I think one of the things I want to sort of bring up about overcoming limitations is the situation is less important than what you think about the situation.
Say
So
more.
yeah,
What you talking about?
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, sometimes we see that things it are negative around us. We're having a bad experience, and I know that there's some school of thought that you like pretend that that's not happening, right? And you just keep
Mm,
like affirming and doing all of this, and you can acknowledge that the situation's bad, but it's the situation isn't what's important. It's how you think about the situation, because you can either think about how bad things are and really wallow in that and get into a pity party and reinforce the situation with what you're thinking, or you can look at the situation as an experience that's teaching you something. You can look at it in a more positive way. You can start to shift your thinking and stay positive even in the midst of a situation. So I'm not talking about toxic positivity where you're positive and you just sort of take this Pollyanna approach and ignore that bad things are happening, because that doesn't work. But how you think about the bad things that are happening is what really is going to make the difference for you. Do you think about
mm.
them as bad things always happen? I'm unlucky. People have it out for me. Or do you think about the situation on a more positive bent? So, one of the things we talked about on the last time was using the word but, for instance, like, hey, I'm broke, but more money is on the way, right? So that's thinking positively about a negative situation.
Mhm.
Even when you're broke, think about like, oh, there's no money in the bank, but I paid my electric bill, so I'm going to have heat this winter, right? So it's not the situation that really makes the limitation for you. It's how you think about the situation that creates the limitation. And if you want to overcome the limitation, think differently about the situation.
Yeah, look on the bright side. Like literally.
Right. Right.
Look on the bright side. Like it ain't all bad. Like it's not all bad. That like there has to be a silver lining behind the cloud. somewhere. Like look on the bright side. And it's funny because I was having this conversation with a podcast guest of mine just yesterday, where she had somebody join her membership, and they weren't putting in the work, and then they dropped, and for her that created a gap in income, like, and she was having a moment like, oh fuck, I really, I wanted to bring this person in, and I really wanted to work with this person, and now, I don't have that, and I'm losing income on top of that. But then she has this ability that she has practiced, and notice that I'm using the word practice again, because that's what you have to do. Like, you have to get into a repetitive habit of practicing the way that you respond, practice looking on the bright side. And she said, even though this person is not working with me anymore, and I've lost some income because of that, that leaves the door open for the right person to come back in. Like, look on the fucking bright side. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't all doom and gloom, y'all. Like, that's making it worse. And I tell my daughter this, even at 5 years old. Like, you doing all that thrashing around, like, I'm gonna only let you do that for so much, but like, you're making this worse for yourself by continuing to, like, walk around like a stooge. Like,
Yeah.
look on the bright side. There's always a glimmer of positivity in every negative situation.
Yeah. Amen.
But yeah, yeah.
Amen.
But you didn't die. You know what I'm saying? And I see this on a lot of t-shirts from people who go to the gym, or especially CrossFit athletes, where push yourself to damn near death doing all of these workouts, and then on the shirts like, but you didn't die. Right, but you didn't die. And even if you did die, you'd be on the other side again, back home, rested.
Right.
It's okay. Everything can be worked out. Everything can be worked through. Like, get your mind out of the bottom of the well. Like, even if you are in the bottom of the well, you can see light. There's a way for you to climb up that motherfucker and get out. Like, it's okay. Along with that, of looking on the bright side, y'all, we have to be very careful about who we associate with and who we're around, because other people who are in this stage of life, or in this energy of being cynical and not looking on the bright side, that can pull you down. Like, it's true, birds of a feather do flock together. And being able to identify who is safe to share certain information with, who is safe to you know be in relationship with, you're gonna have to discern when it's time to start pulling away from people. Even listen, even if they're your own family member, if they are feeding you bullshit, nonsense, drama, negativity, like, think about how that's impacting your belief system, your thought form, how you are reacting to life. Like, is it starting to make you feel bad? Is it a drag every time you come around that person, or every time you talk to that person? It might be time to create some space. It might be time to put a little gap between you and the other person, so one, that you feel safe, and you don't
Yeah.
always subject yourself to criticism and judgment and finger pointing, and I'm gonna go as far as to say some narcissistic tendencies. I'm not calling anybody narcissistic, but some people have the tendencies, and we have to, again, discern when it's time to, like, pull back from people before that energy jumps on you. Remember, energy is not destroyed; it's transformed, and that energy is transferred as well, from us to them and them to us. So, got to be very careful about um what you hear people speak over you, because that can become your narrative. Like, and I understand, and I get, like, the science being done behind when the ego is created, but I also feel like there's times in our adult life when conditioning happens as well. I mean, like, look on TV, look at the news, look at TMZ. Like, all of seeing all that stuff day in and day out is going to, you know can cause you to have a pessimistic outlook on life, and that leaves you closed in a box of shit. Honestly, and it causes you to, prime example, and this happened to me, and I think I might have shared this in another show before, where um I've been in a place in my business where it wasn't growing at the rate that I wanted it to, and I was heavily scrolling Instagram, and more mainly Instagram, but some Facebook posts, and I would come across like people who would tout about them making a certain amount of money in a short amount of time, or having these successes and all of that, and it caused me to like feel bad about the work I was doing, the way I was doing it, and the kind of money I wasn't making in my business, and I'm not there yet. And so I had to pull away. I unfollowed like a bunch of people because of that. And it's not that I can kind of I hear somebody out in the ether saying, "Oh, you're just jealous." No, it's not that. It's not that I'm jealous, but it all seemed unrealistic, and I didn't like the way it made me feel when I looked at that content. So I stopped looking at the content. I cut it out altogether, and now I feel better. Now I feel like I'm focused more on what I'm doing and less on what somebody else is doing and how they're getting there. And through the sea of people who are not being authentic on social media, there are good people out there who genuinely want to help people, and you can find them. And when you find them, those are the people that you want to connect with. But even in that, you do not want to make them a god. You don't want to start to
Yeah.
worship them, and and start to put them on a pedestal, because that too creates a limitation too, because it puts you in a light of, I'm still less than and they are more than. You don't want that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. We don't need any gurus. You don't
Mm-mm.
need a guru. You're enough on your own. Um,
Yep.
so I like what you said about the people around you, because there are people who are so negative that they're toxic, and you need
Yep.
to really be aware of those people, because they are, you can be compassionate for them, but you really need to limit your exposure to them, because they will just drag you down into that pit of negativity. A lot of people, I've talked about this before, and a lot of people know that my spiritual background comes from like paganism and the occult. And there's a saying that we have about magic, and it's the four powers, and it's to know, to will, to dare, and to be silent. And I think for me, the big silent is, there's always those people that when you have a big idea or you have a big dream and you're going to go do something, they're the ones that'll tell you all the reasons it won't work, all the reasons why it's not going to work out for you, why you shouldn't even try it, blah, blah, blah. And to me, that to be silent part is really about holding your dreams, kind of playing your cards close to your chest, holding your dreams between you and your source, between you and God or goddess, and not sharing that. It's kind of, don't cast your pearls before the swine, right? Don't put them out there for people to pick them apart. Go do your thing and live your dream and create what you desire, and then you can share it with other people, because there are always going to be those naysayers in your life. And so just choose what you share with people is kind of my advice. There is, just be a little selective about what you share, because especially if someone is a naysayer, right? Like, you might want to consider how much of their counsel you really take and how much you share with them, because it's going to make a really big difference. So I had another thought, but it's gone. So go ahead, Roz.
I would add to that too. Be careful of people who have loose lips and
Yeah.
and try to disguise it as righteousness. Like, I'm sharing this with this group of people because, and they try to like use prayer. Well, we need to pray for you. Well, I don't want my business cast all over creation on some, in some group that I'm not a part of, and I don't know these people, and I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? So even, and I get, and I see it all the time. Prayers, pray for me, and because of such and such. And then there's the other extreme, is like, don't tell nobody what I'm going through, because I don't want, it's nobody else's business, and I can't trust so and so because they're gonna put it out into this group. Like,
Yeah.
it's on both ends of the spectrums. And again, once again, I'm telling y'all, you have to discern. and you have to watch people and look at their behavior and how people move. And there is nothing wrong with holding your cards close to your chest about your body, about your life, about your money. Like, that is your business, and you can choose not to share it with people, but only share it with people who you trust, that are well connected spiritually, and aren't going to use your situation as a water cooler topic, as a gossip topic among groups that are posing as righteous prayer groups or righteous whatever groups.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you're praying, it's still gossiping too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, people just need to mind their own business. I knew this when I was 2 years old. My mother had taken me to dinner, and then we were going to the laundromat, and I was turned around pointing at people in the restaurant, and she said, "Turn around here, eat, and mind your own business." So we went onto the laundromat, and this woman came up, and she was like, "Oh, you're really cute. How old are you? You know, what's your name?" She was just being friendly, and I looked at her and said, "You're supposed to mind your own business." So I learned that when I was 2. Why can't other people learn it?
Mind your business, lady. Like, mind your business.
Yeah,
Listen,
mind your
listen.
business.
If you don't tell me, then you don't want me to know. And if I don't tell you, I don't want you to know.
Well, and even if I do
That's all
tell
it is to
someone
it.
but even if I do tell someone to pray for me, I don't want that being like the subject of gossip. I don't want it to, like, oh, so and so asked me to pray for them because blah 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 blah, and it becomes this like idle chatter that's really about tearing the person down, about
Yeah.
making yourself seem better because you don't have this problem and you're praying for
Mhm.
them. And so, if you're going to be sincere, if you're really standing in the gap for someone and you're really sending them energy and you're really praying, you're going to do that with a more pure intent. And I think that when you're turning it into gossip, then the intent is no longer pure. You're really more about trying to put yourself on a higher level than them. And that's very different than coming from a place of service. So we need to be aware of what is our intention. And this is something I just recorded a podcast talking about this. When we are manifesting or we're breaking through our limitations, there's the things that we want to manifest because our ego wants them, and there's the things we want to manifest because our soul wants them. And so sometimes it's just a question of who wants this? Who's in charge here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to further make the point, like, we got to start. There's 2 points that I want to make, and then I'm gonna be done for real. We got to start standing, calling folks out,
Yeah.
like, in the moment. We got to start calling people out and checking people, and some people need a hard check, and be like, well, why are you? Don't didn't you say just pray for this person? Now you talking about them?
Right.
Like, you need to start checking people, and not only check yourself, check your own intentions, but check other people's intentions. Like, start holding people accountable for that stuff. And what we're
Yeah.
really talking about, y'all, is holding a boundary. Not just setting a boundary. Is one thing to set a boundary and say, I'm drawing the line in the sand, and you cannot come across here and just do and say any old thing to me. But there's it's a difference when you have a situation and now you got to, not that you got to prove anything, but you got to show that you are holding the boundary, even when there's this push to do something that is not right for you, to share information that that is not safe to share with people, or to go up places where you don't have any business being in. You have to hold a boundary. Not just about establishing a boundary, but you have to learn and get very practiced at holding a boundary. And that goes even back to intuition, because when you don't have boundaries and you let people do anything and say anything to you, or you just raise your hand out of this from a codependent place, to where if I don't do this, then they won't love me type of thing, you are not you are limiting yourself even more, because you are binding yourself to somebody's beck and call so that they can be happy, but you get to live in silence and suffer in silence. Live and suffer in silence is what I'm trying to say. Boundaries are key here for just overcoming limitations. Even though it sounds like, well, boundaries keep people out, they do keep people out, but they keep you safe too, and they can be flexible. Boundaries can be flexible. So there is where the limitlessness can be You get to decide, but I'm telling you what, for people who have shown you repeatedly who they are and how they act, you gonna have to hold a boundary with them. I don't care if they get mad or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. So, yeah.
There you go.
So hopefully this is giving you some inspiration of some things that you could do to start to shift some of those limitations. If you are experiencing limitations, whether in your life, in your career, in trying to make your mark and change in the world, or especially in building a spiritual business, I do coach. I do offer spiritual business coaching, spiritual life coaching. You can work with me to really get in and explore the things you already know, all those possibilities that you have eliminated out of hand without really digging into them, and really get you some pull out some real insight and help you create an action plan for moving forward and breaking through those limitations. I offer a free 45-minute clarity call to just kind of talk about your situation and whether life coaching would be a fit for you. And you can book one of those on my website, which is at priestofinanna.com. That's priestofinanna, INANNA.com. So that's what I got right now. What you got, Roz?
So what I have is very similar to you, Julian, is that, if you are feeling limited and disempowered and you feel like you have to hide yourself, or you are stuck in beliefs that no longer work for you, or family values that no longer align with true values that you actually hold, then I offer as well private coaching, empowerment private coaching. I have 1, 3, and 6 month commitments available for those who are looking for that. And again, just like you, Julian, if you are interested in that, you can apply. We start with a clarity and alignment call, just to see if you're ready, if you're ready for coaching, and if you are ready for me to be your coach, because I ain't for everybody, and I'm okay with that. And also, in that call, the intention is not only to see if there's alignment between you and me, but for you to get some clarity. For you to get some clarity in what direction you want to go with your life. And if you don't end up signing with me, I would want you to have clarity of direction and of thought, to know this is the direction that I want to go in. So check me out at www.rozkincaid.com.
Yeah, nice. So we will be back on November 4th, which is a Friday. We do these every other Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. And next show, we're going to be talking about body wisdom and somatic healing. So make sure to check that out, especially if you feel disconnected from your body or unable to tap into your intuition through your body.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be a good one. I know we talk about body work a lot, or getting into the body. Well, we're really going to get into it now because it's so important. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you next time. So, and hit us and look and check us out on YouTube and our Facebook pages for the replays from our last shows, because there's a lot of really good insights and information there. So I encourage you all to check out Julian, my YouTube page, and Julian's YouTube page as well. So
yeah,
till next time, y'all.
All right.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
This has been the Soul Expansion Soundboard. Join us live every other Friday.